On our engagement day, Samuel abandoned me to celebrate his first love's birthday. I finally gave up on him and blocked all his contact information. That very night, Jeong City was hit by a terrorist attack. The area where I was located became the hardest hit zone, with almost no survivors. Upon receiving the news, Samuel rushed to the scene like a madman, only to find the engagement ring amidst a sea of bloodied corpses. Clutching the ring, he fell to his knees and wept bitterly. "Josephine, please don't be dead." I was the sole survivor of that disaster. 01 on my birthday, Samuel didn't return as promised. I sat at the table alternating bites of cake with sips of wine. And so passed my 23rd birthday. Outside, the rain fell in a steady drizzle. The torrential rain seemed eager to swiftly drown the passionately embracing couples beneath the neon lights. I opened my phone and saw the message Samuel had sent 10 minutes ago. "Josephine, happy birthday. Something urgent came up at work. I'm afraid I can't be with you tonight. I'll make it up to you next time. Be good." I deleted the message and habitually let out a sigh of relief. I've been with Samuel for 5 years, and almost every birthday has been accompanied by disappointment. As if prearranged, he always finds various excuses to avoid this day. Just like now, if he suddenly kept his promise and came back to celebrate my birthday, I'd probably feel uncomfortable. While scrolling through my social media feed, I unintentionally caught sight of a familiar figure. In the photo, a tall man is gently applying ointment to an injured foot, his sharply defined profile partially visible as he frowns slightly with a pained expression. This photo was posted by Maria with the caption, "Everything is the best reunion." Maria is Samuel's first love, for whom he had waited 5 long years. For 4 years in college, Samuel chased after Maria like a love-struck fool. The whole campus spread rumors that young Master Samuel was practically giving his heart to Maria. Samuel, raised in the lap of luxury, was arrogance personified. Yet he could humble himself cooking for Maria despite being repeatedly scalded by hot oil, just to learn how to make Maria's favorite dish, scallion oil yellow croaker. For Maria's birthday, he personally baked a mille-feuille cake for the party, booked the most expensive hotel private room, and invited the entire class to celebrate. When Maria had a fever, Samuel carefully carried her to the infirmary. When Maria didn't receive the scholarship, Samuel gave her his bank card and kept the supplementary card for himself. And all of this came to an end that summer. The year they graduated, Samuel knelt on the grimy cement floor outside the elective classroom holding a half-wilted rose with petals falling off, waiting the entire afternoon just to propose to Maria in the most grandiose way possible. The proposal ended in failure. Maria, surrounded by the crowd, felt utterly humiliated. She tossed the rose aside and warned Samuel in front of everyone. They were from 2 different worlds, utterly incompatible. After that, Maria vanished without a trace, as if she had evaporated into thin air. The entire world seemed to echo only with the sound of Samuel's shattered heart. The vibrant rose rolled across the floor before coming to rest at my feet. Samuel sighed and asked me to throw away the bouquet for him. As I tossed it into the trash, a glittering diamond ring fell from the center of the petals and tumbled to the ground. There had been no warning signs whatsoever. I never imagined that ring would ultimately become my engagement ring. 02 Samuel and I started dating a year after graduation. At that time, I attended a high society banquet with my parents. On my way to the restroom, I accidentally bumped into Samuel, who was completely drunk. It was already late when I escorted him back to his hotel room. Leaning against the bed, he swiftly loosened his tie and pressed his face close to mine, squinting as he asked, "Josephine, will you marry me?" "Yes," I answered almost without thinking. He pursued Maria for 4 years while I secretly loved him for 4 years. Now he says he wants to marry me, whether it's drunken words or a joke. I'm willing. That night, Samuel pinned me down on the bed with brute force. His thin, tightly pressed lips curled slightly into a smirk, as if on purpose, wildly invading. In the haze of passion, the corners of his eyes flushed red as he gently traced the glaring marks on my body with his fingers. His voice was soft, filled with deep remorse, yet calling out another name. "Maria, did I hurt you?" I knew he could never truly let go of Maria, like a sharp thorn deeply embedded in the heart. No matter how hard you try, it cannot be pulled out. But what can be done about it? He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, coming from a prominent family where he never had to worry about anything except indulging in pleasures. Maria, on the other hand, came from humble origins. Her parents were low-ranking office workers, and aside from supporting them, she also had to bear the burden of her younger brother's living expenses. From the very beginning, they were 2 people from completely different worlds. A cliched novel trope indeed. On the eve of graduation, Maria's father fell seriously ill and was hospitalized. Samuel's mother entrusted me with delivering a bank card to her, demanding that she disappear from Samuel's sight. Without a doubt, Maria agreed. And so the scene that followed unfolded. After Maria vanished, Samuel became a completely different person, transforming from a carefree young master into a decisive CEO of a listed company. And today's scene was within my expectations. The Zhou and Jiang families are of equal social standing with close business ties. In recent years, a marriage alliance at this time would benefit both sides. Samuel said he wanted to marry me, likely because his father pressured him. Otherwise, he would never have attended such a mind-numbingly dull banquet. After getting together with Samuel, my focus gradually shifted to him. I started cooking for him myself, preparing meals to deliver to his office. I remembered every anniversary, meticulously selecting gifts for him. When his car broke down during a business trip, I drove through the rain for a full day and night just to make sure he was safe, fearing he'd have no one to care for him. He cared about nothing but his work. I handled all his business, social obligations, and took care of his parents as well. For years, I single-handedly organized all the birthday banquets for the Zhou family elders. The Zhou family was quite satisfied with me as their future daughter-in-law. So pressured by his family, Samuel proposed to me in public holding out a ring. But the moment the ring slipped onto my finger, my heart grew cold. The ring he gave me was identical in style to the one that had fallen into the trash bin years ago. I dug out the old ring from a dusty drawer and carefully compared the two. They were even the same size. "What's wrong, don't you like it?" Samuel tightened his arm around my waist, his eyes glimmering faintly. I shook my head, swallowing my grievances in silence as I slipped the slightly oversized ring loosely onto my ring finger, then forced out the words, "I like it, the design is beautiful." The explosion happened during the dinner on the eve of the birthday. 03 family dinner. Samuel and I returned to the Zhou residence together. During the meal, he received a phone call and rushed out in a hurry. At that moment, I suddenly felt a pang of panic. My heart pounded in sync with his hurried footsteps. I had a premonition that something might happen. That dinner party was attended by my parents as well. It was the first time both sets of parents gathered to discuss Samuel S. and my engagement arrangements. The date is set for next Wednesday, which happens to be National Day. But Samuel S.'s sudden departure left my parents somewhat embarrassed. Samuel S.'s father wanted to chase after him, but I stopped him. Samuel already told me there's an urgent matter at the company. He has to attend to Uncle Joe. We can finalize the wedding arrangements ourselves. Josephine, you're always the sensible one. Samuel S.'s father patted my shoulder, approvingly sighed, and returned to his seat. Samuel never came home that night. It wasn't until midnight that I finally couldn't hold back any longer and gave him a call. The call connected and intermittent panting came from the other end. "Samuel," I held my breath and called out his name. The line went silent for a few seconds before Samuel's voice soon came through. "Low and hoarse. Josephine, sleep alone tonight. I'll try to come back early tomorrow to celebrate your birthday." He hung up after saying that. I steadied my breathing, slowly calming my pounding heart, trying to regain composure. The one Samuel was fooling around with must be his company's newly hired secretary. I'd seen that secretary before. Her name was Wanging, with delicate features, rosy lips, and pearly white teeth, bearing a 70% resemblance to Maria in demeanor. People at the company say Samuel dotes on her. They gossiped a bit too much, whispering this news into my ear, hoping I, the official girlfriend, would storm into the office and beat up the other woman. But I chose to turn a blind eye. For someone of Samuel's status, a little dalliance now and then is harmless. After all, it's just a resemblance, not the real thing. Until her birthday, when I suddenly saw Maria's updated social media post. Samuel carefully applied ointment for her, his eyes brimming with tenderness. It was a look I'd never seen in Samuel's eyes before. The first time I cooked for Samuel, making braised pork ribs, the hot oil scalded the entire back of my hand, leaving it red and swollen. Samuel just coldly tossed me a Band-Aid. He complained that I had dirted his kitchen and told me to clean it up immediately. Looking back, now perhaps I was never in his heart at all. At least pretend to care. I turned off my social media feed and drifted into sleep exhausted. In my dreams, a large hand pulled me into an embrace. A cold body pressed closer, warm breath suddenly hitting my face with a faint tickling sensation. Frowning, I met those burning eyes in the dim moonlight. "Weren't you busy with work? Why are you back?" I spoke softly, trying to steady my breath. What I really wanted to ask was, how could Maria bear to let him come back? Samuel exhaled lightly, pulling my index finger to his lips while his other hand deftly invaded my space, the strong scent of alcohol enveloping me like a gust of wind. My body instantly burned with heat. After that night, Samuel vanished like mist, suddenly disappearing from my sight. On the day of our engagement, I stood alone on the stage in a custom-made white gown, wearing a ring one size too large. Samuel never showed up. A gust of wind blew past, carrying faint rustling sounds and the murmurs of gossip from the audience. "Is the engagement party only for one person? Why isn't Samuel here? I heard President Samuel doesn't like Josephine at all. Their marriage is just a business alliance between two families. Even if they're married, it's in name only. The Jiang Group's eldest daughter is really losing face today. Quick check the trending hashtags." At the same moment, my social media feed was flooded with posts. Maria flaunted her extravagant birthday celebration, having invited nearly all their university classmates. She wore an exclusive custom-made birthday gown, a sparkling tiara atop her head, leaning gracefully against Samuel's shoulder as they shared a knowing smile. This picture-perfect moment was perfectly captured by the camera. I turned off my phone and let out a soft sigh. Yes, today is Maria's birthday. Samuel loved her so much, he should be there with her. The slender high heels had rubbed my heels raw. I bent my knees slightly, steadying myself against the champagne table nearby, and smiled apologetically at the guests below. "Please excuse the awkwardness, everyone. Today is actually Samuel and my breakup banquet. Thank you all for coming. Eat, drink, and enjoy yourselves." After saying this, I took off my high heels and walked away with poise. At last, I gave up completely and blocked all of Samuel's contact information. But I never expected the unexpected to come so swiftly. That night, Jiang City was hit by a terrorist attack. The area where I was located became the hardest hit zone, with almost no survivors. Upon receiving the notice, Samuel rushed to the scene like a madman. Yet amidst a sea of bloodied corpses, all he found was that engagement ring. He knelt on the ground, clutching the ring, weeping bitterly. "Josephine, please don't die." I was the sole survivor of that disaster. The television broadcasted footage of the entire attack. The scene was utterly devastating. I sat on the sofa, my face pale. That night a close friend of my father's returned to the country and invited our family to a banquet in Binshire. I hadn't planned to go, but my father worried I'd feel worse staying home alone, specially arranged for the driver to pick me up early. Thus I narrowly escaped disaster. But I didn't know how long such good fortune could last. 04 When Samuel rushed to the Jiang family home, I was squatting on the ground playing with a cat. The moment he saw me, his footsteps instinctively retreated. Josephine, I let out a cold laugh and extended my warm wrist toward him. Don't worry, I'm not dead yet. Samuel touched my hand to make sure I was alive, then excitedly hugged me. Josephine, you're really not dead, I thought. I pushed him away, my expression grim. Are you disappointed that I'm alive? Would it have suited you better if I died at the engagement party? After all, if I died, he could openly be with Maria. Samuel shook his head desperately. No, you've got it all wrong, Josephine. I didn't intentionally miss the engagement party that day. I just got the date mixed up, Josephine. My father has already consulted the fortune teller, and the 5th of next month is also an auspicious day. We'll hold another engagement party then, and it'll definitely be even grander than this one. Samuel looked at me with sincere eyes and reached out to take my hand, but I dodged his touch. The Zhou family's business hasn't been doing well these past few years. Their company lacked both capital and resources, which was why Samuel agreed to get engaged to me in the first place. In the past, I would have eagerly offered my family's resources to help without him even asking, but times have changed. After narrowly escaping death, surviving that brush with mortality, I suddenly saw things clearly. Rather than desperately clinging to him, it's better to find someone who truly loves me. Life is so short. Why must I be bound to Samuel in life and death? Hearing the commotion, my mother came out from the inner room. The moment she saw Samuel, her expression darkened. She stepped in front of me, shielding me as she rejected him on my behalf. The Jiang family is too humble to climb the high branches of your Zhou family. This marriage is off. My Josephine, one TV going through with it. It'd be best if we cut all business ties too. Now get out. Auntie, please let me explain. Before Samuel could finish speaking, my mother shoved him out the door. That engagement banquet became a laughingstock, spreading like wildfire across the internet within hours. The trending comments were practically bursting through the barrage. The dignified Miss Josephine, yet her engagement banquet turned into a complete joke. How utterly humiliating. Honestly, it seems young Master Samuel never liked her from the start. She was the one forcing herself on him all along. Do you know where young Master Samuel went on the day of the engagement banquet when he didn't show up? I know, I heard that Master Samuel went to celebrate the birthday of his first love, Maria. Even have photos of their sweet moments together here. Maria, the campus goddess back at a university, who would be guessed she and Master Samuel had such a hidden past. Maria and I were college classmates back when Samuel pursued her. He gave it his all. Who would be? He thought they'd start getting ambiguous only after all these years. I heard Maria left without a word back then, and Samuel almost committed suicide over it. Is Josephine the other woman? Is Maria back to stake her claim? Then one Josephine be doomed, who can compete with a first love? What is there to fight over with some worthless man? My fingers slid across the screen, leaving faint warmth on the glass. I silently scrolled through the online comments, a tumult of emotions churning in my heart. All these years with Samuel, I'd always played the submissive role, even to please him. I'd secretly followed Maria's social media, imitated her style, meticulously studied her preferences. Then, like a thief, I'd stolen those superficial traits, one by one, carefully presenting them to Samuel, just to make him love me a little more. Looking back now, how ridiculous it all seems. Turning off my phone, I lay quietly on the bed, silently processing everything that had happened these past days. Suddenly, a blinding white light pierced my eyes. Outside the window, Samuel's large face was pressed against the glass, flashlight in hand, as he desperately called out to me. Josephine, open the window quickly. I need to talk to you. I opened the window and glanced outside. My apartment was on the 5th floor. One careless move, and it would be a fatal fall. But what did Samuel's life have to do with me anyway? Frowning, I looked at him coldly, my tone sharp. Samuel, if you want to die, do it somewhere else. Don't bring bad luck to my house. You're not welcome here. Get out now. But he grabbed my hand, his voice trembling as he desperately tried to explain like a pitiful puppy. Josephine, I know you're angry about Maria. I promise you there's really nothing between us. She already has a child now. It's completely impossible between us. During our engagement party, she called saying her child was injured. I was worried about the kid and had to go check. I didn't realize it was her birthday. I just want to give my blessings. Josephine, don't overthink this. I still love you. Before he could finish speaking, I slapped Samuel across the face. You and I are done. There's no need to explain these things to me. Get lost. 05 As I finished speaking and moved to close the window, Samuel forcefully blocked it with his hand. His hand was crushed crimson by the window frame, yet he paid no mind. His burning gaze remained fixed on me. Josephine, I'm begging you with such humility, don't be ungrateful. I'm giving you this chance today. If you refuse to take it, don't blame me when you regret it later. I suddenly found it laughable and couldn't help asking him. Regret? What regret? That you abandoned me at our engagement party to celebrate another woman's birthday, or regret not clinging to your pitiful family fortune that's not worth one of my toenails? Samuel, what exactly do you have that's worth my regret? Get lost, don't pollute my air with your presence. Samuel trembled with rage at me, glaring hatefully with crimson eyes. Fine, I'll leave. Josephine, don't you dare come crying to me later. Samuel's figure gradually disappeared. Standing by the window watching his retreating back, I felt an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. For so many years Samuel had always been the one infuriating me. Now for once I'd made him flush red with anger, like a clown. After that, Samuel never came to see me again. Instead, his parents repeatedly came to beg for my forgiveness on Samuel's behalf, all for the sake of their company's financing. My father intended to hand over the Jiang Group to me and wanted me to quickly get involved in the company's affairs, so he offered me the CEO position, but I declined. I knew my current abilities were far from sufficient for such a role, so I chose to start at a newly established subsidiary. Instead, the branch had only been open for a short while, and most of its employees were newcomers. To secure the deal, I attended a late-night drinking session, clinging to the toilet as I vomited repeatedly. After the violent retching, my body felt weak and unsteady. I never expected Samuel's mother to chase me down at the drinking table in the middle of the night. She helped me back to the private room, finished the remaining drinks for me, and as the others looked on in confusion, Samuel's mother pulled me aside to explain. I'm Josephine's future mother-in-law. My daughter-in-law has a weak stomach. She can't handle alcohol. I'll drink on her behalf. She finished speaking, then with great boldness directly picked up the bottle of liquor in front of her and downed it in one gulp. My business negotiation went smoothly. As Samuel's mother helped me out of the private room, she suddenly broke down in tears. Josephine, the Zhou family is truly in crisis. Your father refuses to help us. Auntie had no choice but to come find you in the middle of the night for Samuel's sake. Could you please beg your father to help our Zhou family? Just this once, I'm begging you. After Samuel's mother spoke these words with a loud thud, she knelt down before me. A cold wind blew past, sobering me up considerably. Auntie, please get up. I'm just a small company manager. I really can't help you. I'm begging you, don't make this difficult for me. As I finished speaking with a loud thud, I also knelt down before Samuel's mother. Trying to manipulate me, like this, not a chance. At that very moment, Samuel's figure suddenly appeared, accompanied by Maria. The moment Samuel saw me, without waiting for an explanation, he immediately pointed at me and began to scold. Josephine, have you no humanity, making my elderly mother kneel, and beg you, have you no shame? I didn't back down an inch, brushing the dust off my clothes. I strode towards Samuel, my counterattack louder than his. Samuel, are you blind? First of all, it was your mother who knelt down and begged me. I didn't force her in the slightest. If you dare spread lies, there are plenty of surveillance cameras here, and I can sue you for defamation tomorrow. Secondly, you're a grown man, yet you can't even handle a crisis properly, dragging your elders out in the middle of the night to beg for help, and you still have the nerve to stand there acting all high and mighty. Who's the shameless one here? Instead of wasting time like this, you'd better think about how to solve the actual problem. I finished speaking and turned to leave, only to be suddenly stopped. I looked up to see Maria frowning at me. Josephine, you've really misunderstood Samuel and me after you left him. He drank so much, he truly cares about you. As for us, there has been nothing between us for a long time. Please don't misunderstand. Samuel is really a wonderful man. Keep such a wonderful man for yourself then. I sneered, coldly pushing Maria aside as I turned to leave. But the moment I touched her arm, Maria suddenly let out a piercing scream, fragile as paper, collapsing to the ground without any resistance. What a clumsy performance this was. I ignored her and turned to leave. A sudden force gripped my wrist as Zhou and Mo yanked me back violently. Josephine, Haven, you caused enough trouble. Maria was just trying to help you out of kindness. Why did you have to be so cruel to her? I was cruel. I nearly laughed in anger right in front of Samuel. I raised my hand and delivered a heavy slap across Maria's face, then turned to the furious Samuel and spoke coldly. If you dare provoke me again, I'll be far more vicious than this. After saying this, I turned and walked away. With a flourish, Samuel, thoroughly enraged, glared at me with bloodshot eyes and roared at my retreating figure. Josephine, you venomous-hearted woman, don't think your filthy money makes you special even without the Jiang family. Zhou Corporation, 1T collapse, you crazy bitch. I don't want you anyway, Josephine. I'll be waiting for you to come crawling back to me. The midnight streets were tinged with a sharp chill in the thin air. In the distance, neon lights flickered endlessly, their mottled glow faint and hazy, as if whispering one tragic love story after another. I stood on the overpass listening to the silent river flowing slowly beneath. Suddenly, the memory of my first date with Samuel years ago flashed through my mind. It was also on this overpass that I dressed up carefully before going out, put on the newly bought dress, and deliberately arrived half an hour early to wait for him. But Samuel never showed up even until evening. Just as I was about to leave, I suddenly received a call from Samuel. He said he had mistaken the time and asked me to wait for him at a bar on Qixiang Street. The overpass was at the southernmost end, while Qixiang Street was at the northernmost, almost spanning the entire city of Jiang. But at that time, my love for Samuel burned so intensely that I hung up the phone and rushed over immediately. I waited at the bar for 2 hours, but Samuel still hadn't shown up. No one answered my calls either. Just as I was about to leave, I suddenly heard a familiar voice coming from one of the private rooms. Quietly, I walked over and peered through the door crack. There sat Samuel in the center of the room, surrounded by beautiful women. He was smoking a cigarette, looking weary as he chatted idly with a few other young aristocrats, and somehow the conversation turned to me. I saw a flicker of mockery cross Samuel's face as he took a drag from his cigarette and spoke carelessly. That fool Josephine actually thought I'd go on a date with her. Who does she think she is? If it weren't for her father's measly fortune and his business dealings with my family, I wouldn't even glance her way. You know what, today I had her running in circles. The private room soon erupted in laughter. I stood at the doorway, my body shrinking into itself. From the very beginning, he never intended to go on a date with me. At that moment, my heart turned utterly cold. Just as I was about to leave, Samuel suddenly noticed me. He chased after me, apologizing repeatedly, but I refused to forgive him. In the dead of night, he video called me shirtless, then leaped off the overpass. The water beneath the bridge was bone-chillingly cold. It was late autumn then, and the nights bit deep. When I arrived, Samuel lay in the hospital bed bristling with fur lines, clutching my hand as he apologized. My heart softened then, and I forgave him, never imagining it would breed so much future trouble. The river flows endlessly, stirring ripples upon its surface. I stood on the overpass, quietly finishing a cigarette. The ashes carried away my last trace of attachment to Samuel. 07 After that night, Samuel's family never came looking for me again. Meanwhile, my small business was keeping me swamped, and when I finally had some free time, my best friend insisted on dragging me to see the new movie. I arrived at the cinema early, but there was no sign of my best friend. Just as the movie was about to start, I called her to hurry up, only to hear moans on the other end of the line. Her voice came through husky and strained. "Josephine, my boyfriend came back early today, so I'm afraid I can't go to the movies with you. You should go ahead by yourself. If I finish up early here, I'll try to catch up." "Oh, stop it, be gentle." The suggestive noises were practically bursting through the phone. I quickly hung up, bought a bucket of popcorn, and entered the theater alone. Little did I expect to run into Samuel at that moment. He walked into the cinema hand in hand with Maria, their intimacy unmistakable. I was just about to leave when Maria's voice came chasing after me. "Is that Josephine? Are you here to watch a movie by yourself?" I turned around and saw Samuel's pitying gaze fixed upon me. "Josephine, my family matters have been resolved. You don't need to avoid me. I, Samuel, have my own dignity. I want to rely on you for everything." "That's good then. I have something to attend to, so I'll be leaving first." I finished speaking and was about to leave, but Samuel stopped me again. His gaze fell on the popcorn in my arms, and a hint of mockery crept into his tone. "Has no one been going to the movies with you since you left me? If you don't mind, I could accompany you one last time." "No need. I came here with my boyfriend today." "Is that so? It hasn't even long since you left me, and you're already rushing to find a boyfriend?" A flicker of barely contained emotion crossed Samuel's face, but he quickly regained control. Pressing further, he asked, "Where is this boyfriend of yours? Or is he just a coward who doesn't dare show his face? Or perhaps, Josephine, you don't even have a boyfriend at all. Are you using such a childish lie to provoke me, playing hard to get?" My grip on the popcorn bucket tightened slightly as my gaze darted through the crowd, searching desperately. Suddenly, a young man in a white shirt appeared before me. He handed me a bag of freshly roasted chestnuts, his voice sweet as honey. "Sorry, sister, I was late, because I went to buy your favorite sugar-roasted chestnuts. The movie is starting. Let us hurry inside." After he finished speaking, he took my hand and walked away without hesitation, only to hear the sound of someone behind us completely losing their composure. "Josephine, you must be really desperate to even go after my brother." 08, what are you doing here? The screen was showing the climax of the movie. I lowered my head and whispered to the young man beside me. Arthur, Samuel's cousin, who was disliked and targeted by Samuel's family due to his parents' divorce. Fortunately, Samuel's grandfather favored him and took him abroad to study and settle before he even finished college. I heard he has been very successful in his career these years, starting his own business abroad with a publicly listed company, thriving in his ventures. I suppose the one who came to the Zhou family's rescue in their business troubles must be him. Lost in thought, I suddenly felt a wave of warmth spread across the back of my hand. Arthur's affectionate gaze rested firmly on me, his voice as gentle as flowing water. "Sis, I came back this time because I want to marry you. Don't joke around like that. I'm 2 years older than you." Flustered, I stuffed a handful of popcorn into my mouth and nearly choked on it. Arthur quickly handed me a warm drink. He looked at me with a smile, his tone unexpectedly tender. "Sis, I've liked you since high school, but you were too intimidating. I didn't dare get close and could only admire you from afar. Later, when we finally attended the same university, I knew you never ate breakfast, so I bought meals every day and asked the dormitory Annie to deliver them to you. The day your grandfather passed away, I saw you crouching on the field crying, but I didn't dare comfort you. I was afraid it would make you feel worse. So I sat on the other side of the field and stayed with you all night. I was planning to confess to you that day, but due to family circumstances, I had to go abroad unexpectedly. That's why I never got the chance. Now that I heard your wedding with cousin was called off, I rushed back home immediately. I was afraid of missing you again. Josephine, the truth is I've missed you all these years." A look of surprise flashed across my face as I turned to Arthur. "You mean it was you who brought me breakfast every day in college, and the one who stayed with me on the playground that night? Who else? Who were you hoping it would be?" The glow from the movie screen cast light on Arthur's profile momentarily, leaving me dazed. Memories gradually surfaced, filling my thoughts with distant college days. During university, every morning the dormitory auntie would deliver breakfast to me on time. Once curious, I went downstairs to see who was delivering the meals, but only caught a glimpse of a retreating figure. When I asked the dormitory auntie, she only said the guy was very handsome and his surname was Zhou. The first person that came to my mind was Samuel. On the day Grandpa passed away, I pretended everything was fine and showed up at the funeral trying my best to act like a sensible child. I kept comforting my parents, hoping to ease their pain. When I returned to school, my heart shattered instantly. I was raised by Grandpa since childhood and had spent the most time with him. When I was little, my parents were busy with their business and had no time to look after me. Afraid I might grow up feeling unloved, my grandfather would take me abroad every weekend, showing me the customs and cultures of different places and teaching me the ways of the world. Grandfather passed away from a cerebral infarction. As he lay on the pristine hospital bed, his body covered with tubes and needles, he struggled to hold my hand and murmured to me in a voice thick with effort, "Josephine, promise me you mustn't cry. When I'm gone, I don't want to see you cry." I nodded firmly. That day, I held myself together and saw off all the relatives. On my way back to school, I could still hear relatives gossiping behind my back. The old man doted on her so much when he was alive, yet she didn't even shed a single tear. How unfilial. I paid no attention and quietly returned to school. But the moment I left the funeral, the last thread holding me together completely snapped. That night I sat alone on the playground, the cold wind scraping against my cheeks, stinging sharply. In the deserted playground, I cried my heart out. Midway through my tears, someone suddenly handed me a tissue. When I looked up, the person had already turned their back to me and sat on the other side of the field. In the haze, I vaguely remembered his silhouette. It was identical to the figure who delivered breakfast. Thus Samuel became a ray of light in my world. 09 snapping back to reality, I finally realized the light that had appeared in my world was never Samuel to begin with. It turned out to be Arthur. This man whom I only vaguely remembered as Samuel's cousin. I thought attending the Zhou family banquet was our first meeting, never realizing we had so much history between us. Life is full of surprises. As the movie ended, Arthur and I walked out of the theater together. Unfortunately, it happened to be pouring rain outside. I was only wearing a thin dress, and seeing this, Arthur gallantly draped his coat over my shoulders. People were streaming out of the cinema, and upon seeing the heavy rain, they all crowded under the eaves by the entrance, waiting for their rides. The space became momentarily cramped. Afraid I might get jostled, Arthur simply wrapped his arm around me, shielding me closely in front of him, like a protective puppy. At such close proximity, the cool scent of pine drifted into my senses, and I could even feel the warmth of Arthur's breath. I silently studied the man before me, failing to notice how swiftly he had gathered information, until I suddenly found myself lost in those pitch-black ink-like eyes. Our eyes met, and waves of heat rushed to my cheeks. The humid air wrapped tightly around me as Arthur suddenly raised his hand, gently brushing my cheek. A faint warmth grazed my skin, sending a tingling electric current that made my cheeks itch slightly, instantly flushing crimson. Soon his sweet, milky voice whispered in my ear as Arthur offered a soft explanation. "Big sister, there was a little bug on your face just now." I nodded calmly, but silently scolded myself in my heart. A little puppy almost made me lose my composure. "Josephine, you're really hopeless." Time passed indeterminately before the rain gradually ceased. As the driver pulled up and Arthur helped me into the car, my phone suddenly rang. I glanced at the screen. It was Samuel calling. I powered it off decisively, only for Samuel to appear disheveled before the car, the next instant drenched from head to toe. Seeing me, he desperately rushed over and knocked on the window. The car window slowly rolled down as I looked impatiently at Samuel, somewhat angry. "Samuel, what else do you want?" "Josephine, you're mine. You can't mess around with my brother. That's morally corrupt. Get out of the car, just say one soft word, and I'll forgive you right now. We'll get married tomorrow. I'll take you to buy a diamond ring right now, okay?" Samuel stood in the rain, his attitude humbled to the extreme. When he looked at me, even his voice trembled. It was the first time I'd ever seen him so distraught. Before I could speak, Arthur, who was beside me, couldn't hold back any longer. He jumped out of the car, yanked Samuel away, and warned him in a domineering tone. "Samuel, what do you take Josephine for? What's yours or mine? She belongs to herself." To be honest, besides acquiring Zhou Corporation, the other reason I returned to the country is for Josephine. After the acquisition, do you still think you'll be young Master Samuel? Wake up. In your current wretched state, what can you possibly offer Josephine to make her happy? What right do you have to compete with me? Didn't your first love come back? Go find her. You're clearly a scumbag. Stop pretending to be devoted. Don't you dare disgrace the Zhou family name. 10. With that, Arthur got into the car. The vehicle soon disappeared into the distance. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Samuel collapse in the pouring rain. In the past, this sight would have shattered my heart. But now I felt nothing, even finding it somewhat ridiculous. How is it he didn't scare you, did he? A warmth spread across the back of my hand as Arthur's concerned gaze settled on my face. I shook my head, smiling. He gathered my icy hands into his embrace and held them tightly. "Your hands are so cold. Did you catch a chill? Let me buy you a hot drink." The car slowly pulled over by the roadside. Arthur went to buy me a hot drink while I waited in the car. Worried I might get cold, he deliberately turned the heater to maximum. The warm air enveloped me, gradually thawing my frozen heart. When I returned home that evening, my best friend was sitting in my living room with a knowing smile. Seeing me return, she quickly came up to me, fishing for information. "So, how is it, Miss Jiang? Are you satisfied with the match I set up for you this time?" I poured myself a glass of water and glared at my best friend in annoyance. "Don't even mention it. You went off to flirt with some guy and left me alone at the cinema. If Arthur hadn't suddenly shown up, I probably would be..." "Arthur's quite a catch, isn't he? The first thing he did after returning to the country was come straight to you." My best friend giggled as she sat across from me, her words entirely about Arthur. I studied her curiously and couldn't help asking, "Did you set this up on purpose today? You and Arthur have known each other all along?" "Yep, we've known each other since high school. That kid was too shy to confess to you, so he'd often buy me little gifts to butter me up and ask about you." As she spoke, my friend leaned closer and suddenly turned serious. "Speaking of Arthur, he is now successful in his career and traveled thousands of miles just to pursue you again. You should really consider it. What's more, he even acquired the Zhou group for you, completely disregarding all personal ties. He could have easily helped the Zhou family through their difficulties, but just because Samuel bullied you, he went ahead and took over the entire Zhou group. Now that Samuel has lost his status, he's probably going to have a miserable time ahead." I sighed. No wonder I heard Arthur mention something about acquiring the Zhou group today. So the issue Samuel mentioned was resolved by simply handing over the group to someone else. This is getting more and more interesting. I'd like to see whether Samuel's first love would still cling to him like a sticky plaster once he loses his power. 11 News about the Zhou family soon became trending online. It was said that the Zhou family mansion was under the old patriarch's name, and he had just made a will to transfer the ancestral home to his youngest grandson Arthur. Unexpectedly, as soon as Arthur returned to the country, he immediately invoked the old man's South authority determined to drive Zhou's mother and son to complete ruin. Lying in bed, I munched on pineapple while scrolling through trending topics online, yet felt nothing inside. Suddenly, the phone rang. When the call connected, Arthur's voice came through soft, sweet, and slightly nasal, like a child's. Sis, come out, let us go have some fun. Not interested, come on, be good. I'm already downstairs in your yard having tea with your dad, hurry up. Hanging up the phone, I sprang out of bed, like a carp leaping from water. After changing clothes, I hurried downstairs. Just as I stepped outside, I saw my father and Arthur sitting together in the yard chatting and laughing heartily. Spotting me, my father immediately waved me over. Josephine, Arthur is such a fine young man, already accomplished at his age. You're not getting any younger either. Your father would like to hear your thoughts. What thoughts? I don't understand what you're talking about, Dad. We promised to go out tonight, so we went to be home for dinner. With that, I hastily pulled Arthur away. Only after getting in the car did I realize he hadn't brought his driver today. Arthur sat in the driver's seat, leaning over to fasten my seatbelt before handing me a bag of sugar-roasted chestnuts. Sis, today I'm taking you to a romantic place. Where is it? You'll know when we get there. The car sped off and soon reached its destination. It is called the Cloud Peak House, also known as the Cliff of Life and Death. Legend has it that heartbroken men and women would come here to bungee jump off the cliff. The plunge was akin to dying once, and upon returning it symbolized rebirth, letting go of the past relationship. Standing at the cliff's edge, I gazed at the swirling abyss below, then turned to Arthur with mixed emotions. I've long since stopped caring about Samuel. There's no need to come to a place like this, and besides, I'm afraid of heights. Can we just go back? Arthur firmly grasped my hand, pressing close to whisper in my ear with a tenderness so palpable it could wring water from stone. Sister, you don't need to jump. I just want you to witness this for me. Stay here and watch. I'm jumping to say goodbye to my cowardly past self who never dared confess. After this rebirth, I'll become brave enough to hold onto you tightly. With these words, he suddenly broke free from my grip, eyes brimming with laughter as he leaped into the void. I stood before a bottomless abyss, my legs trembling uncontrollably, yet my heart was filled with unbearable anxiety. I'd heard rumors before that the safety ropes here had issues. Arthur, he'll be alright, one teehee. Just as my anxiety reached its peak, a sweet voice whispered in my ear. Will you marry me, sister? I turned around just as Arthur leaned in, his lips meeting mine in a kiss. I could feel his heartbeat distinctly against me. A heartbeat burning with passion. His lips landed on my forehead, my eyes the tip of my nose, and finally the warm, moist softness covered my lips. The taste was rich and fragrant like a storm, intense, catching me off guard, and utterly irresistible. It was very late by the time we got home. After saying goodbye to Arthur, I had just reached my doorstep when I spotted an unexpected visitor. Samuel sat on the ground in disarray, unmoving, even as rain began to fall from the sky. After just a few days apart, he seemed to have deteriorated significantly, his unshaven face a stark contrast to the usual image of the dashing young Master Samuel. The moment he saw me, he desperately rushed toward me. Josephine, I was wrong. He spoke while taking a bag from his pocket and handing it to me. The rich aroma of chestnuts quickly spread, but I just looked at Samuel indifferently, making no move to take it. He grew desperate, his voice choked with sobs as he frantically pushed the bag of roasted chestnuts into my hands. Josephine, I know you love the roasted chestnuts from Shiyuan Street the most. When I went to buy them, the shopkeeper said there was only one bag left. I was afraid they'd get wet in the rain, so I kept them warm inside my clothes just to bring them to you, hoping you could enjoy them hot. Josephine, I truly know I was wrong. Without you, I can't do anything at all. One to you, please forgive me. I gave a cold smile, looking at the sugar-roasted chestnuts in the bag that had already been soaked by the rain, feeling a pang of bitterness in my heart. So Samuel did know my preferences. He knew I loved sugar-roasted chestnuts, yet he had never cared enough before. I still remember, once when I was sick, he asked me what I wanted, and I said I craved sugar-roasted chestnuts from Shiyuan Street. Samuel promised to buy them for me, but when he came home from work, he tossed me 2 cold steamed buns, as if shooing away a beggar. That time I was furious and gave him the silent treatment for a month, yet he thought I was being unreasonable. It's just some candied chestnuts, why make such a fuss? Steamed buns are just as edible. How can you be picky when you're sick? Now as I stare at those candied chestnuts, I can't help but find them somewhat ridiculous. The candied chestnuts in my arms were knocked away with one swipe, quickly rolling into the rainwater puddle. Samuel looked utterly bewildered, as if he had lost something precious, kneeling on the ground to pick up the scattered pieces one by one. I watched his retreating figure and couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Late affection is cheaper than grass. Samuel, save your breath. With those words, I turned and went inside. That night, Samuel spent the entire evening picking up candied chestnuts under my building. For the next month, Samuel never appeared again. I accepted Arthur's marriage proposal, and at the engagement party, he slipped the custom-made ring onto my finger. He gently slid the diamond ring onto my ring finger. The fit was perfect, neither too tight nor too loose. In the depth of passion, Arthur suddenly leaned down and kissed me fiercely. The banquet hall was filled with guests, their applause erupting in waves of blessings for us. As the feast concluded, I suddenly received a phone call. It was Maria calling. I answered the phone to hear Maria on the other end sobbing and pleading through her tears. Josephine, Samuel is in the hospital now after you left him. He drank every day. His stomach was never strong to begin with. The doctors just diagnosed him with stomach cancer. He is writhing in pain on the hospital bed, calling your name over and over. Josephine, please show him mercy. Come see him at the hospital. I'm begging you. Samuel always had stomach problems in the past. Whenever he had drinking engagements, I'd take his place. Now, with no one looking after him, who would have thought he'd drink himself into such a wretched state? I frowned and spoke impatiently into the phone. Samuel and I have nothing to do with each other anymore. You should notify his family instead. Just as I was about to hang up, I suddenly heard an angry voice on the other end, Samuel's voice complaining to Maria. Why did you tell Josephine? Can't you leave me some dignity? I don't want Josephine to worry about me. Before he could finish, I hung up the phone. I have nothing to do with Samuel now. To put it bluntly, even if he dies, it's none of my business. Arthur appeared behind me at some point, gently wrapping his arms around my waist, his voice soft. Sister, now that we're engaged, can we sleep together? No, we'll sleep together after we're married. I chuckled lightly and pinched Arthur's cheek, finding his crestfallen expression quite amusing. After a long pause, I tilted my head to ask him. I heard Samuel has stomach cancer. Aren't you going to visit him? Arthur smiled faintly as he turned to look at me, answering my question with another question. If there is any justice in this world, this must be that scumbag's karma, right? 13 Arthur and I quickly set our wedding date. At the wedding banquet, I walked down the aisle on my father's arm with tears streaming down his face. He said to me, Josephine, your father is so happy to live long enough to see you find your own happiness. Dad, at the wedding I clung to my father, crying until my face was drenched in tears. Arthur silently wiped away my tears, smiling as he comforted me. If you cry your face into a mess, you won't be cute anymore. The wedding finally concluded amidst the blessings of our family. I never expected to see Samuel's figure at this moment. At the end of the wedding reception, Samuel appeared before me in a dark blue suit. His hair had turned much whiter, his face etched with weariness, as if he had aged decades overnight. I almost didn't recognize him. When he saw me, Samuel trembled as he walked toward me, breaking into cold sweat with each step. His condition already seemed gravely serious. But today was my special day, and I didn't want him to ruin my mood, so I turned and prepared to leave. But Samuel stopped me directly in my tracks, his hands trembling as he struggled to pull a ring from his pocket. The ring was still stained with blood. It was the engagement ring I had accidentally dropped in the neighborhood while fleeing from that attack. Drenched in blood, yet no one knew whose blood it was. My heart sank slightly as Samuel's hoarse voice sounded in my ear. He held the ring up to me, almost pleading as he spoke. Josephine, I'm dying. I sneaked out of the hospital. Could you keep this ring with you? Consider it as me always being by your side. Before I die, my final wish is for you to forgive me, Josephine. Enough. I took the ring and threw it into the trash right in front of Samuel. Samuel, you and I have nothing to do with each other anymore. Besides, I'm married now, so please don't bother me again. As for whether you live or die, that has even less to do with me. Before I could finish speaking, a large hand gently grasped my waist. Arthur pulled me protectively into his arms, glaring coldly at Samuel as he issued his warning. Samuel, please don't harass my wife again in the future, otherwise I'll have my lawyer intervene. After speaking, he scooped me up horizontally and pressed a kiss to my forehead, his voice warm. Darling, I'm taking you home. 14 After that day, Samuel's condition worsened considerably. After returning to the hospital, Samuel's physical condition worsened day by day, yet he still clamored to buy alcohol from the nurses. I've been with Samuel for 5 years, and almost every birthday has been accompanied by disappointment. Whenever he drank and his stomach ached, Josephine would always come to stop him. But he kept drinking until he vomited blood, and Josephine never appeared. In the end, Samuel's condition deteriorated, and he passed away. Before his death, he desperately clutched the bleached bedsheet, murmuring incoherent pleas to those around him. The chestnut stall on Shiyuan Street opens today. Help me buy some for Josephine. She likes them warm. A group of white-clad angels surrounded him, but none knew Josephine, nor did anyone buy him roasted chestnuts. Only countless cold medical instruments pierced his body. They say all significant moments of one's life flashed before their eyes when dying. But Samuel closed his eyes, and Josephine's name kept echoing in his mind, perhaps until the moment of death. Did he finally see his own heart clearly? It turned out Josephine had always been so important in his life. It's a pity he never truly cherished it. Such is life indeed. Better to cherish those before you than mourn blossoms battered by wind and rain.